Resilience is the secret weapon that separates those who quit from those who rise again. Life often feels like a series of punches, knocking you down when you least expect it. But success belongs to those who get back up, no matter how hard the fall. Resilient people don't ask, "Why me?" They ask, "What's next?" and keep moving forward. In science fiction stories, heroes often emerge from impossible situations, not because they avoided adversity, but because they refused to give up. Similarly, in real life, resilience is built every time you choose to act, even when circumstances seem unfair. Think about the athletes who fight their way back after injuries, or entrepreneurs who bounce back from failed ventures. Each setback is a test, an invitation to grow stronger. What would happen if you saw adversity as a challenge instead of an obstacle? Resilience teaches that the only way to truly lose is to stop trying. When life pushes you down, it's your ability to rise that makes all the difference. Resilience isn't just about surviving, it's about thriving despite difficulties. Those who embrace setbacks as part of the journey develop an unshakable mindset, knowing that adversity is unavoidable, but defeat is optional. Like explorers who discover uncharted lands, you can only reach new heights by enduring unpredictable storms. Every time you recover from a failure, you reinforce the belief that nothing is permanent. Not pain, not failure, not disappointment. Life's greatest successes come to those who develop the habit of getting back on their feet again and again. Think about marathon runners. They hit the wall where fatigue takes over, but pushing past that moment defines them as finishers. This is how resilience works. It builds mental toughness that carries over to every area of life. With each trial you overcome, you gain momentum, becoming someone who knows that setbacks are temporary, but strength is permanent. Failure isn't the end. It's just the beginning of something greater if you choose to learn from it. Life will knock you down, sometimes brutally, but every fall carries the seed of personal growth. In science fiction tales, characters often face disaster, only to emerge stronger after learning from their mistakes, just like you can. Success isn't about avoiding failure, but embracing it as part of the process. Picture an inventor working on a prototype. Every failed attempt brings them one step closer to the breakthrough. The question isn't whether you'll fail, but how you'll respond. When failure hits, some people crumble while others rebuild, stronger than before. It's in those rebuilding moments that growth takes place. Transforming failure into strength requires changing your mindset. Instead of seeing failure as defeat, see it as valuable feedback. To turn failure into fuel, you need to reflect, adapt, and try again with renewed energy. Like lifting weights at the gym, failure provides the resistance that makes you stronger. Without it, growth would be impossible. Think of Thomas Edison's quote, "I have not failed. I've just found 10,000 ways that won't work." Every misstep refines your strategy, teaching you what works and what doesn't. What would happen if you welcomed failure instead of fearing it? Life's most important lessons often come disguised as setbacks, and it's through those lessons that your character is shaped. In the end, strength isn't built by succeeding easily. It's built by struggling, adapting, and pushing through obstacles. Just like in combat, where every battle scar tells a story of resilience. Each failure you overcome becomes a badge of honor, proving you are becoming stronger than the person you were yesterday. The path to success is often a lonely one, marked by moments of doubt, struggle, and unseen effort. True glory isn't achieved in front of crowds, it's built in solitude when no one's watching. Think of artists, writers, and athletes. Their achievements are celebrated publicly, but the real work happens behind closed doors, in hours of silent dedication. In science fiction narratives, heroes often spend years training in isolation before they're ready to face the final challenge. This solitude refines not just skills, but also character, teaching you the discipline to keep going when recognition is nowhere in sight. Every success story has a hidden chapter, a period where no one believed in them except themselves. Success built in solitude also creates a deep sense of fulfillment, because you know the effort was real, not performed for applause. Have you ever noticed that the most successful people seem grounded? That's because they've found value in the process, not just the outcome. Solitude allows for honest self-reflection, helping you reconnect with your purpose when things get tough. Picture someone training in an empty gym or practicing an instrument late at night. Those lonely hours are the foundation of future triumphs. What would happen if you embraced solitude instead of fearing it? Solitude isn't loneliness, it's where greatness takes root. By focusing on your craft when no one is around, you prepare yourself to shine when the moment finally comes. True champions are driven by an inner fire, not by the need for applause or approval. Success built on external validation is fragile. It crumbles when the applause fades. But when motivation comes from within, it fuels an unstoppable pursuit of purpose, even when things get hard. Think of science fiction heroes who keep going against impossible odds, not for recognition, but because they believe in their mission. This is how inner motivation works. It's the force that keeps you moving forward when everything else tells you to stop. What would happen if you chased goals for your own fulfillment, not for the approval of others? Champions push through failures and setbacks because their motivation is deeply rooted in who they are. To cultivate inner motivation, you need to find a purpose that resonates with you on a personal level. It could be the desire to improve yourself, help others, or achieve a dream that's been burning inside you for years. Inner motivation makes the journey meaningful, even when it's difficult. Picture a runner who keeps going after the race ends, or a writer working on their book, even when no one reads it yet. The key is understanding that success isn't a destination, but a way of life. When you act from a place of inner motivation, each step feels like progress, and every challenge becomes a lesson. With this kind of drive, you become unstoppable, knowing that your worth isn't tied to anyone else's validation. True transformation doesn't happen overnight. It's the result of consistent efforts, repeated over and over, even when it feels mundane. Just like a sculptor chisels away at stone, discipline shapes you through small, repetitive actions. In exploration stories, characters often prepare by repeating drills or practicing strategies endlessly until they become second nature. This is how growth works. By embracing the grind of repetition, you build habits that lead to mastery. What would happen if you saw every repetition as progress, even when results aren't immediate? Think of the martial artist who practices the same punch thousands of times until it becomes effortless. The magic lies in the monotony. Repetition not only improves skills, but rewires your mindset, making you resilient to setbacks. Every time you try again, you reinforce the belief that progress is possible. Even when things don't go as planned, repetition trains you to get back on track without hesitation. The secret to continuous improvement lies in showing up, even when it's hard, like a pianist practicing scales or an athlete refining their technique day after day. Eventually, what once felt difficult becomes second nature, and you realize that persistence is the ultimate shortcut. Transformation isn't dramatic, it's subtle, happening in the background while you stay committed to your practice. In the end, repetition isn't just about improving your performance, it's about becoming the kind of person who refuses to quit. Repetition creates a compounding effect where small efforts accumulate into significant results over time. Think of it like planting seeds. At first you see nothing, but with consistent care, those seeds eventually grow into a flourishing garden. Each time you repeat a task, even when it feels dull, you're building muscle memory and mental endurance. This is how habits are formed, by stacking small wins every day until progress becomes inevitable. In science fiction, characters often train relentlessly for one moment that will define their fate, knowing that preparation beforehand makes victory possible. Practicing the same moves or refining a skill day in and day out primes you for the moment when opportunity strikes. What would happen if you fully embrace the power of repetition? Over time, these seemingly minor efforts create major breakthroughs. Trusting the process turns repetition into the rhythm of mastery.